Welcome to another edition of Hokie Sports Insider. I'm Bill Roth, along with Tech's Director of Athletics, Brian White. We've got a great show for you today. You're really going to enjoy the program. We're going to cover a lot of topics, plus later today on this program, fan questions. It's going to be like the old Hokie hotline, unfiltered, unedited questions from the Hokie Nation for our AD. You ready to go? This is going to be a lot of fun today.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
How have you been? How's the first 3-4 weeks been for you and your family here?
It's been great. It's been great. Your family's back in Florida, but it should be coming up this weekend. So it's been great. I've been able to lock in, staying at the inn, and just been really, really fun.
So I know you've had the opportunity to meet with our coaches. What is your impression initially of the head coaches?
Blown away. I think we have a really good group of head coaches. I've been really impressed to a person. Their commitment to Virginia Tech. How the job they've done. Not only in coaching, but also in the community and with our donors and with our student athletes and the experience they're helping to contribute to. We got a really good group of head coaches, so I'm excited about that.
There have been some new additions to your senior staff, the athletics department at Tech. Let's talk about the three people that you've announced that you've brought in already so far.
Brought in three so far, and couldn't be more excited about every one of them. Brad Bell we brought in to lead the Hokie Club, and Brad's one of the most talented fundraisers in the country and really well respected, good human being. And what's as important to me as for the lead fundraiser, yes, it's important that they individually are a good fundraiser, but they have to be a great leader because we have to have a whole staff getting out to Hokie Nation and getting around the state and around this country because we got Hokies everywhere. So, I'm a big believer in a fundraising operation is only as good as its fundraising staff and the whole team. So I think that Brad's going to do a great job building a team. They've done a great job at Georgia with their Major Gift Society as well as their whole fundraising operation. Comes from a really good shop, knows what it needs to look like. And I think he's going to be a great leader for us in that area. So really excited to get Brad on board. Ryan Gottlieb is, one of the best non-philanthropic revenue generators in all of college athletics. He has a proven track record of monetizing successful athletic departments, and I think he's going to be able to help us in that area tremendously. He has a great track record in the concert space as well, and the entertainment industry, and so I think bringing someone in that can help us grow more your non-philanthropic, your non-traditional revenues was a key goal for me right away. And then Mary Gardena is somebody I have tremendous respect for. We worked together for 7 years at Florida Atlantic, and then she's been at West Virginia, done a great job there. She's been at Duke, she's been at the ACC, former student athlete at Wake Forest, so a lot of experience in the ACC, and she's somebody that's going to help us a lot with our internal operations and help us make sure that we have operational excellence in everything we do.
Very experienced trio joining the staff here at Tech. It's funny. It's coming fast. Kickoff is 6 weeks away. What's your excitement level?
Through the roof. I'm very excited. It's to see a game in Lane Stadium and I'm excited about this team and Coach Franklin and what he's building. And I think we're going to be really competitive right away. And I think we got a great culture in the football program, and so I'm excited to see that play out. And but also the fan excitement. I've heard so many stories about how this town totally transitions on a football Saturday and the buzz and the energy in that stadium. Definitely something that I'm fired up about.
You talked about football. Practice starts here in a couple of weeks, officially on August 5th. But I know you were down in Charlotte at the ACC kickoff, so you got to see a coach and interact with some of our players as well. And the theme has been, well, we've won the offseason, and you can really tell the way their bodies look, the way the mentality, the work ethic, it's a machine already.
Yeah, it's great energy with the players. I really enjoyed. We had dinner the night before, got to be with Coach Beamer and had several of our supporters in the Charlotte area with our players. And it's a really impressive group. And you can tell that they're totally bought into Coach Franklin and the energy. And, and this upcoming season is going to be very real.
You're in Charlotte, and I know that the ACC has changed its scheduling philosophy. So, for example, this year we go to the 9-game schedule, but not everybody in the league plays 9 games. The Hokies have 4 home games, 5 on the road. How do you view the unbalanced schedule, 8 versus 9 in our league, And how will we handle some years with 5 league home games and some as this fall with just 4?
The best we can. It's obviously not ideal to have an odd number, but that's our reality, and I think the ACC does a great job to make it, the best it can be for its member institutions. So for us, you'd love to see, 7 games every year in Lane Stadium. I think that's going to be a priority moving forward. I think that maximizing the games here in Blacksburg, maximizing the value of the season ticket. Our season ticket holders need to be the lifeblood of our organization, and so to make sure we're maximizing that value for this community, and ideally, with concerts, it's not just 7 events, it's 9 or 10 events that are big time that help this community, but help Hokie Nation have a reason to be in Blacksburg more at our home.
Yeah, the stadium, Lane Stadium, is a great asset for sure, but we have to use it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, let me ask you this. We've moved a Wisconsin home game that was scheduled for Lane Stadium to Charlotte. What are your thoughts on that?
Our future scheduling model is going to be to play 7 games at least in Lane Stadium and to maximize the value for our season ticket holders in Lane Stadium and to grow that way. And really ideally with, as I mentioned, a couple concerts a year, have as many events as we can in Lane Stadium and in Blacksburg in this community, and to bring Hokie Nation from all over the state and all over the country into Blacksburg as often as possible. That being said, that game is scheduled in Charlotte, so we're going to make the best of it. We're going to have a great time, and it'll be a great event for the Hokies that are in and around Charlotte.
I know you're running like crazy here. What are your top items on your agenda list with 6 weeks until we kick things off?
Building the plan. That's but part of that is getting to know the people here and getting to know. I've used the term lay of the land, and I feel like that the most important thing I could do is meet with, you mentioned meeting with the head coaches, but also meeting with everybody that knows and understands this place. As I build the plan for the future, I have to have an understanding of the past and how we got to where we are today in the present. So building that plan is huge. And that's my biggest priority is what does this need to look like in the future, and how can I build the absolute best plan for Virginia Tech?
One of my favorite pictures of you so far is you're walking through the stadium with Coach Franklin, and he's pointing up at different places in the stadium.
Yes.
And can you share to the Hokie Nation what you talked about, and when you and Coach walk through the stadium, whether it's a revenue-generating concept or something else, what's on your mind there?
All the above. Coach Franklin, tremendous energy, and he wanted to get right to work, and I love that. And we got, I actually had a couple buddies from home ask me, were those staged? And they were absolutely not staged. We didn't, I think we lost track of the fact that this the creative group was taking pictures. But, we talked about revenue generation ideas, and of course you're looking at, more premium. What opportunities are there to build in more premium? There is a long wait list for our premium currently, which is awesome to hear, and that's exciting. And it's like any other business. When there's demand, you want to make sure you're catering to a demand that is very real and exists, and can help us, grow our revenues moving forward. But it's also, how do we honor the success of the past? When we look at the number of conference championships we've had at Virginia Tech, and what can we do to, better honor that historical success from a football perspective, and also what is a recruit thinking when they walk in here? And it's obviously a really impressive facility on game day and a really impressive stadium all around. But what can we do to build on that and make it even better? And he definitely has a lot of ideas. He knows what it needs to look like at the highest level. So he's going to be a partner in all the above.
So for many years, longtime Hokie fans know we would, on the radio, take questions. The fans would call the toll-free number.
The Hokie hotline.
The Hokie hotline.
Love it.
Exactly. And you had no idea what was coming.
Yep.
And sometimes it was interesting. Well, it was always interesting. So we asked our fans to submit some questions to you.
I'm ready. Let's go.
And so I'm gonna read them exactly as you submitted them, and we'll get to as many as we can. We don't have time to get to every single person who submitted a question, but here we go. Here's the first one for you. To our athletic director, Brian White. Many Virginia Tech supporters want to make the biggest possible impact on the future of Hokie football. Given the changing landscape in college athletics, would you encourage fans to invest in the NIL, the Hokie Club, or both?
Reality, we need both. And both are extremely important for our success, moving forward. And some, I think donors and fans are more motivated by one than the other. And I think following donor intent is key. What makes a donor feel good? And so for, the Hokie Club obviously helps our scholarships, helps our facilities, helps our student athlete experience. We've been built by the Hokie Club, and that's why we are where we are today. And we absolutely need continued investment in the Hokie Club. But the NIL programs, we all want to win and win at a high level, and we know that that's something that directly affects winning. So if you're a donor that's open to NIL and you believe that and you understand that's going to help us win at a high level, and that's probably the most critically important component to winning, I would encourage you to give to the NIL. Both is the short answer.
This next question, you kind of touched on it before, but I want to read it anyway because this gentleman did submit it. Brian, how do you balance the legacy and traditions of Virginia Tech while working to improve and expand the fan experience?
I think you absolutely need to leverage the history and traditions of a place like Virginia Tech. The traditions of the Corps of Cadets, the lunch pail, the Enter Sandman. I mean, the history here is so incredible, and that's the fabric of what makes this place truly special. That being said, I never believe in resting on laurels and not seeking to constantly improve the fan experience on game day. So I think that you can balance those things absolutely by leaning into traditions, but also making sure that we're doing a driveway-to-driveway study for our fans. What is that experience that when you leave your home, enter the stadium, go to a home football game, leave the game, go home, that whole experience? I know we have fan surveys that we've been reading up on, and it's enlightening as to the experience and the opportunities to get better. I look at potential issues as, to me, opportunities and ways we know that we can get better. So we're doing a deep dive with our team on those surveys, and I want to thank our fans for filling them out and encourage you to continue to give us feedback, because we absolutely want to create the greatest atmosphere in all of college football in our stadium. But that being said, we know that the atmosphere is also great right now, and we know that the traditions and the history have to be valued and have to be a part of that. So it's a balance.
You at ACC Kickoff mentioned you'd like to see more concerts. You mentioned that again earlier today. So someone once has written in, can we get Ella Langley in Lane?
Man, I hope so. She's awesome. That'd be great.
Someone else writes in, what would be your top 5 artists or bands to perform at Lane Stadium?
That's a great question. I would say
we put them on the spot here.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head.
Yes, mixing personal interest. I'm a big country music fan, and there's definitely a tie between country music and college football. I'm a big Kenny Chesney guy. He'd be my number one personally. Metallica obviously has to be top of the list. So Metallica 1, Kenny Chesney 2. I'd throw Zach Brown Band in there, Eric Church. There's so many good options though. So I'd want to hear from our fans. Maybe that's a good fan survey to see who our fans would love to see. So we'll probably put that out there next time.
You got to get the right mix. Like the World Cup thing, like BTS and Justin Bieber and Shakira. I don't know that would work here. It's got to be the right.
No doubt. You have to have an understanding for what the fans want to see.
Here's the next one for you, Brian. What are your thoughts on naming rights for any or all of the game fields at Lane Stadium or Castle or any of our other facilities? And what is the range of money that Tech might be able to get from that?
There's definitely a large number, very, very high number on what Virginia Tech could seek in naming rights. But being very new at Virginia Tech, I'm sensitive to the fact that I have to have an understanding of what our fan base, what our Board of Visitors, what our university is going to be comfortable naming and how they might be comfortable naming things. So that's some research I'm doing right now, trying to get an understanding of what everybody would be comfortable with in a tasteful way. But I will say there's tremendous opportunity out there. And in today's day and age of college athletics, we have to do everything we can to lean into monetizing our product as best we can. And so there is a common theme of commercialization in college athletics that I think we need to lean into to achieve the success that we all want to achieve. But we have to do it in a way that is consistent with the brand identity of Virginia Tech in a way that everybody will be proud of.
I think our fans appreciate that and to a certain extent have embraced it. You can see it by some of the questions that have come in. Brian, you said in your introductory news conference you thought Tech should be able to compete for championships in all 22 sports. With that in mind, and knowing a key component is money, when and to what degree can the money flow to the other 21 sports?
I'd say immediately, and I've actually been pretty encouraged in all my meetings with our head coaches that with Invest to Win, I think people look at the big headlines, but you don't realize many, and may not realize, and I don't know that I fully realized until I met with all the head coaches individually how much each sport benefited from more scholarships because of Invest to Win and because of the revenue growth and the budget growth in this department over the last 10 years or so. Many of our sports have come a long way and are positioned for success, and our goal is going to be to continue to build on that. Again, that doesn't mean that we're good and we're all set, but it does mean that I think we're trending in a good direction in a lot of our sports in terms of their resources and their funding, and we're going to try to continue to grow that for all of our sports.
All right, here's another question from a Hokie fan. Mr. White, name 3 criteria you use to judge athletics department success.
I'd say competitive success. Obviously, you want to win at a high level, but also you need to graduate student athletes. So academic success is critically important. You really can't have one without the other. I think finally the student athlete experience, because that contributes to both, but also contributes to your recruiting of future student athletes. So I'd say student athlete experience, competitive success, and academic success. And we spend a lot of time talking about growing resources and revenue, and I think that contributes to all 3 as well. So I think that feeds into it. But the 3 components, the 3 result metrics are competitive success, academic success, and student athlete experience.
Here's an interesting one for you. Is there any plan to get rid of the seats that were permanently mounted in the stands because they're very uncomfortable?
The fan surveys and the feedback we're soliciting right now, that's right there on the list. So absolutely, we're working on a plan to look at everything surrounding the game day experience, and we want it to be a tremendous experience. And I need to personally go sit in those seats and experience myself the level of comfort that they provide. But I don't know a lot. I don't know enough about that specific issue, but I will say that's the sort of thing we want to know about, and that's the sort of thing we want to make sure we're working to improve on a daily basis.
That's great. Another fan writes in, Brian, what was your first impression of Tony Roby, not only as a coach, but his ability to raise money as well?
I was really, really impressed with Coach Roby. I got to go to dinner with him and a group of coaches on actually the night of the press conference, and then I got to sit down with him with a one-on-one meeting here last week, I believe. And he's just an incredibly impressive coach. The program he's built is, arguably as good as any in the country, and right there in that top tier of elite wrestling programs in the country. And you could tell that our donors and fans have bought into Coach Roby and his program because he's had a lot of success on the NIL front, on the fundraising front. So he's doing a great job all around in so many different facets.
Here's an interesting question from another fan for you, Brian. This Hokie fan writes, my wife and I are huge softball fans. What plans do we have to improve Tech softball park?
I need to get with Pete, and I was really impressed with him as well on the plan for the future and see what I can do. My goal is to partner with him and all of our coaches on each facility and each program and see what we can do to work on it and improve it. I'm not exactly certain what plans are in place already for our softball park, but I know he's an elite coach, and I know we got a big time program, and so I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help improve it.
Next question from our fans for our director of athletics. This is probably the number one question I get. You're going to hear it a lot too. Is Lane Stadium ever going to get reliable cell service or Wi-Fi?
We got to figure that out. Absolutely. We talk about those post-game surveys. That's a theme in there. That's very real. It's a real issue that we have to address and we have to figure out. Optimistically, I've heard a few things that make me feel really good that there might be an attainable solution in the near future. So we're working together with the university to try to figure out what can we do to make that better. I think at a minimum, from a safety perspective, the ability to make phone calls and texts, is important. So, it's not just a experience piece, but it's a it's a game day operations function that we got to figure out. So I understand it's an issue, and again, that's why those surveys are so important. So we try to make sure we're reading those with a genuine interest of how do we make things better, and that's definitely a huge priority for us.
We're going to get to as many of your questions as we can here today. This is an interesting one as well. This Hokie fan writes in, with collegiate athletics changing so rapidly, how are you structuring Tech's athletic different than a traditional athletic department? What new roles, priorities, or organizational changes do you think are essential for the long-term success in today's environment?
I think a focus on revenue generation and providing more resources for our programs is my main priority in terms of what's different than a traditional athletic department. So I'd say Ryan Gottlieb's role, he was at Florida Atlantic, he was our chief commercial officer, and having him come in here and really look at everything we do in terms of our non-philanthropic revenue and our commercial enterprise, I think is one role that might be a little different than a traditional athletic department, and it's kind of a newer role in college athletics, but just looking at everything we do externally, everything we do with non-philanthropic revenue generation is probably the most important piece that's new and different. The philanthropic revenue generation is also something that has always been our bread and butter, and we absolutely need to build the very best fundraising arm that we can, and that's gonna be a huge factor for our future success.
That's right on cue to the next question. This fan writes in, what is your insight for the Hokie Club, and what changes do you plan on making there?
Brad Bell was the first step. Bringing Brad in to lead the Hokie Club, I think was a tremendous first step. I think Brad, he and I just had a long meeting yesterday. He was in town and met with the staff, and his vision very much aligns with my vision of what the Hokie Club needs to be. He knows what it needs to look like, and I think that that's step one. But what changes? There's some really good people in place within the Hokie Club, and some really good things in place. But in addition to that, I'd like to make sure that we're beginning a major gift society, and we have some things down the horizon that I think we can launch that are in line with what they've done at Georgia and what some of the most successful fundraising arms in the country have done. So he understands the vision of what I think it needs to look like at a high level, and we want to build on the past success we've had in the Hokie Club. And I think that there's a lot of untapped potential out there to grow our fundraising operation to be competitive with every other one in the country.
I appreciate you taking the time, and I know our fans do too. You may not have every answer yet, but you will. But I think everybody has a sense of your vision and what you want to get done here in a quick hurry here.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time with me, and thanks for all you do, Bill.
Well, it's funny. I vividly remember we would take these phone calls and for Jim Weaver and Dave Brain back in the day. When are we going to pave the lot on Chicken Hill? And can we bring sugar cookies into Lane Stadium?
Yep.
And the back and forth with our fans is so important. So I know they appreciate you visiting with them today.
Absolutely. We're going to keep the Hokie hotline open.
There we go.
Love to hear it.
There you heard it. It's coming back, but on video now in 2026. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon on our next edition of the Hokie Sports Insider.